So Peter, you want to explain what's going on for the camera?
Well, we're just taking a look at our inner cabinet because what we found with our wonderful bed has been constructed to be super light, but the problem is that it has a 1/4 inch of plywood with 3 strips of one by, what do you say, 2?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's great as a design, but when you start putting weight on it, it'll bow. And what we found is that some of the the hardware is starting to break the wood. So what we're going to do is, like most beds, you have a central frame, like a piece of wood usually in the middle, to keep the bed straight and give it some support. So what we're going to do is we're going to build basically a box or a rectangle under the bed to give some support to the master bedroom in our Jayco. So we added some shims last night to kind of get an idea of what we have for space. So let me shed a little light.
So we added these shims in here to help support where it was bowing and falling in on itself.
If you take a look a little higher, you can see this side of the bed. This is actually, you see inside the Jayco, and the bowing pulled all of the staples out of the wood. So this is all damaged now. So what we're going to do is we're going to seal that up too. So you can see on this edge right here that runs the length of the bed, that's actually a hinge. So all this is flush. So this is what we're going to do is we're going to put a shim. Well, the shim is here, but the box is going to support this part of the bed. And then we're going to go to the middle section of the bed and create the rest of the rectangle to shim up this portion of the bed. So that way, where our stomachs and chest move, all of this is going to be supported and just given a little strength. Because as you can see on my side, I'm not a tiny guy, so I'm not going to hide that. But you can see the hardware has already started to crack the wood right here. So we're going to try to see if we can avoid having to replace this chunk of wood, because that's going to be a lot more work.
So we put shims in for now to hold it up so that we could sleep on it last night. And then we got wood. That's the shim on the other side, on my side. We did that so that we can hopefully prevent it from cracking even more. But you can see the bowing right up in there.
So what Christy is going to be working on right now is just getting some measurements. And what we're going to do is just plan out our height and our width of our box. So that way we've got everything set up right, and we're not putting too much stress on the plywood either. Because if we make it too high, then we're going to risk breaking the wood. And if we make it too low, we're still sagging. So that's what we're working on today.
No sagging.
No sagging.
We don't want no sagging.
No. Sagging means 1/4 inch plywood go breaky.
Okay, so we're going to be working on taking measurements, figuring out what we need to do, how we need to cut the boards to be able to put it together. The girls are supposed to be asleep right now, but they are not going to sleep. So one of the things that we're going to have to be focusing on right now is making sure that all of our boards are cut correctly, obviously. Measure twice, cut once. And just making sure that we have everything shimmed up the way we need to before we start building the box, so that we have the correct adjustments. We have Sarah's mattress out here right now because the wonderful part about having a 3-year-old who is successfully potty trained but yet unsuccessfully potty trained is that she pees in her bed at night sometimes. So it'll happen. It always happens, you know, once in a while. Everybody goes through it. But so we have mattresses out here airing out so that we can get them dry. We sprayed them down, but now we have to air them out. So it's going to be an interesting day.
All right, so we got our measurements finally correct. So we had a little learning on 2x4 width, but what we've
2x4s are not 2 inches.
So when you're doing math, check the 2x4 first. So if you take a look inside, you're going to see we've created basically a W. So we've got our frame started, and what we've made sure is that the 3 1x1 pieces of wood that we're trying to support those 2 sheets of 1/4 inch plywood. It's going to help get the middle strengthened, and this will be our first part of the rectangle. And then we're going to mirror that over from here over to the right where the head of the bed is, and you can see where there's some significant bowing right there. So we're going to get that shimmed as well, so that way we still have space to put our storage and everything, but this is strengthened.
So we've had a rough day. We started working on the framing to shore up our bed. We're basically making 2 rectangular frames so that will join together to make a rectangular box of sorts that will put pressure underneath to support the cross beams that go underneath the plywood that supports our bed. The problem is that we only have like battery powered hand tools that don't quite get the job done. We got through a couple of cuts of wood and our batteries died because they're old and we've had them for probably 8 years and not really used them that much except for like drills and flashlights and stuff. So we had to go borrow my dad's table saw. When my dad passed away, he had what my mom lovingly called the tool museum. So we're going to go raid the tool museum and see what we can find to help shore up the bed and cut the wood without killing ourselves or our batteries.
Okay, so we have our frame. It is almost, I think it's almost square. More rectangular.
How many hours did it take us to make a frame?
Well, I mean, we're counting from when we started this morning and then ran out of battery power and then had to borrow electric tools. I don't know.
Tools.
But it's pretty square on the edges, so we've got a nice rectangle. We're going to try to put it in and see how it looks. So, it's pretty square.
What is not square about it?
Nothing square. Well, I mean, me putting it in right now, I have no idea if I put that in flush, but it fits. And it does a really good job. Now, the bow that we had before, we're not seeing it anymore. It's nice and flat here.
And you can feel it when you put the bed down too.
It feels pretty solid now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we've got that part taken care of. We're going to try to do the other shim block, or rectangle, whatever you want to call it. And then later on, what we'll do is we'll come up with another piece of wood, hopefully, and we're going to try to secure these. So that way, when we open up the bed, nothing falls over. Moving on to the next part.
So we've completed our second frame, and now Peter's going to lift the bed. All right. Yep, they're sturdy. They're not going anywhere. So what we have to do now, but probably will not be today, is to put cross braces going across here to allow us to be able to keep the frames in place so that when we lift the bed, they don't fall over. Although so far they seem to be okay, pretty sturdy and not falling over, but we want to make sure that we don't have any accidents later and have to come and stick our heads in and pull everything out and all that good stuff. So we got it done.
Yes.
We built 2 frames. It only took us 4 hours.
More or less. Some of that was, well, we did plan to have our wood and hardware, we actually a little bit more than we needed. We spent about $60. The problem is that we did have some battery-powered equipment that we thought we could try, and it cut through the first piece of 2x4, and that was about everything that the power had. So thankfully we do have some family nearby that had some major tools. So we had a miter saw, electric one, and we're able to make some quick work of that, and then used a variable speed electric drill.
Which we're going to have to buy one of
Yes.
those. It was a big help.
But we also bought some really ridiculously long screws, and that was a lot of fun. But we had the drill bits. We had a lot of that stuff already here. So if you're going to be buying, you're going to have to remember you need to buy drill bits if you have a drill, that kind of stuff. We had bought 5 2x4x10s. So we overestimated. We really only used 3, and that's with messing up a couple of measurements. So
Yeah.
3 2x4x10s can get the job done, and we notice we've got a nice firm bed now.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll test it out tonight and see how well it works. But it looks like it's level, and we've got just enough measurement so it's not moving anywhere once the bed's dropped, so we can put all of our stuff back in without too much of worry of knocking anything over. So I think this was a success.
Yeah. The nice thing about it is that we did it all on our own. Nobody else figured it out. Had a few cat fights here and there figuring it out, but we got it done, so I'm super excited about it. And then we have wood left over because we totally overestimated what we needed. So we're probably gonna have a few more projects in our future.
I see a shelf in my future.
Oh yeah, lots of shelves. Lots of shelves, lots of boxes, lots of storage, organization. So we did it, yay!
That's going to be coming with our shed video. Sorry, I didn't see that coming.